Lot of interesting vibes. At NRG today. There was a confident DeMeco, a different feel in the locker room. We got a depth chart, and there was a weird smell in the building. We'll talk about it all in the locker room provided by Sleeper.
Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in.
It is the locker room #1 source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker, and it is officially game week. What a time to be alive. What a time to cover the squad. What a time to hear from DeMeco Ryans. I don't know, this different vibe from DeMeco in a number of ways. It started off shortly. We'll react to what DeMeco had to say today. But this video is brought to you by Sleeper. Sleeper is the top daily fantasy going on right now. It is growing. It is a pleasure to be working with Sleeper. I'm going to make some picks a little bit later on. But if you want to get the Sleeper app, and it's good for all your fantasy games, everything, the over-under right now, you already get a head start because Dak Prescott, they have him over 0.5 yards passing. I know there's a lot of people that hate the Cowboys, but they got that. I'll make the pick a little later on. I'm actually going to have the ability to make it on the screen sooner rather than later. But if you go to Sleeper, use the promo code LOCKER, LOCKER, then you'll get up to $100 match. So you put 100 in, bada bing, bada boom, you get 100. Also, I've put the link to the Survivor pool, which the winner will get an autographed jersey. Could be winners, never know. In the thing, Nick on the chat says you got a Sleeper sponsor. That's probably my favorite FFB app. We'll go use the promo code LOCKER and get some stuff back. It's great. So shout out to Sleeper for riding along with us. And shout out to DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans was a very confident guy today. And I don't know where this confidence comes from, but the man who wanted nothing to do with speaking on injuries, DeMeco Ryans, not only did he speak, he said CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to be good to go. He also had some extremely good things to say about Nick Caley. He's feeling really good about Nick Caley. And he had some other nugs that he dropped. Let's hear from DeMeco Ryans, head coach of the Texans, feeling himself like a mofo. Here's DeMeco.
Do you guys have team captains yet?
We'll announce our team captains on Wednesday.
Do you expect CJ Gardner-Johnson to be on track?
Yeah, CJ is doing really well, progressing fine. We expect him to be ready for week 1.
Coach, what do you expect from this Los Angeles Rams team, especially?
We got the direct confirmation right there, CJ Gardner-Johnson. So initially reported as a torn ACL. He's good to go week 1, according to DeMeco Ryans. No pettiness, nothing. Maybe he kind of slept on the rant the other day and he just decided he was going to state the obvious like other teams do. But CJ Gardner-Johnson, good to go.
Going up against such a smart head coach like Sean McVay.
Yeah, I have the utmost respect for Sean and what he's been able to accomplish at his time there in L.A. The team is always prepared, always ready to go, no matter what year it is, who's available for him. Like, he's had turnover, but he's continued to have success. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach, played in multiple NFC championship games, so we know they're going to be ready to go. One thing about Sean, his group, they're going to be very detailed. They're going to play hard, so it's going to be a 4-quarter battle, and we're excited to go against these guys. Went against him a lot, and it's always been a tough challenge. He does a really good job with the motions, timing things up properly, putting defenses in conflict by all the motions and the snap points. So he does a really great job, really smart coach, really prepared. So looking forward to the challenge.
You have some really good edge rushers here in Will and Danielle, but they also have some pretty good edge rushers. What have you seen from Jake first on film?
Yeah, this game, I think ultimately, as right now, as I continue to go through it in my mind, I think it really hinges upon both offensive lines blocking two really talented defensive lines. The Rams have one of the best young defensive lines in the NFL with Verse, Fisk, Turner, Young. It was a young group, and those guys they get after it. They play relentless. They're tough. They're going to be a really, really good group to challenge our offensive line, and the same for their offensive line versus our defensive line. We have a really good group up front, one of the strengths of our team, and we have to – it's going to be a challenge to see how that shapes up, but both offensive lines are going to have to play well, and whoever wins that battle, I think, will ultimately decide the game.
You mentioned you've gone up against Coach McVay quite a bit, obviously. When you were in San Francisco, he was here for a joint practice. Now Nick is your OC. What do you do with all that information you don't normally would have against an NFC?
Here goes Hardo.
Nothing. It's all fresh. It's all new. That's the cool part about game planning and prepping. Like for me, you have past history, but for me, I don't harp on that too much, and I don't get too bogged down on that. That's really the focus on what our guys do well, allowing them to go play fast. You can get bogged down on all the extra stuff, the window dressing, but you just got to let guys go play fast, especially first game. There are a ton of wrinkles. Their guys haven't played in the preseason at all, so it'll be the first time we see their outfit out, and we'll see, how they're utilizing guys, where they're going to use Devontae Adams, how does Puka, what is his role, so it's a lot of unknown.
I think the Puka thing is really, really interesting. The Puka situation is that's really going to be what I think decides this game, is the Puka and the way that they handle him. Like, we talk about all these other matchups. We talk about Verse, and we talk about their edge guys, rightfully so. And we'll get into the depth chart in a second. And shout out to everyone. Again, this is brought to you by Sleeper. Be sure to get in the #1 daily fantasy app right now. Their presence on social media is strong. The technology is insane. And it's a fun game to play. It's a fun game of skill to play. And use the promo code Locker, and we'll appreciate you for rolling around, riding along with me, and also get in the survivor pool, which I'm going against the Saints. I'm probably just going to go against the Saints every week, if I'm being completely honest about that. But how are Sean McVay is going to move the receivers around if he gets a situation where he can seek out Puka versus Jalen Petrie, and you can't hide it all the time? Like, how does he take advantage of those little opportunities? We saw Devontae Adams last year kind of have his way too against the Texans. Really one of the only good games that he had last year. But how does Sean McVay use Puka? And is he able to take advantage of Petrie in coverage? I think that's something to really, really keep an eye on in this game. I think it's going to be very, very decisive. And here's more from DeMeco Ryans today. Confident DeMeco.
With these guys, so I don't go in trying to figure it all out. I let our guys, do the talking. I let our guys just play ball, play fast, play relentless, and let's see, who comes out on top.
DeMeco, can you talk about your level of excitement as you get ready to approach this season and year 3 for yourself?
No, I'm fired up for the season. Like, we work tirelessly all through the offseason, where the free agency, draft, training camp, we work tirelessly to get to this moment, right? And we're here. Like, you get 17 opportunities that you're guaranteed, so how are you going to take advantage of them? One at a time. Like, how does our team take advantage of the opportunity, and how does our team grow throughout the season? That's what I'm most excited about. Every year is different. Every team is different. I'm excited to see what the 2025 Texans, how we look, how we show up on Sundays. I'm fired up. There's no better time than football time, as everybody can feel that excitement in the air from watching college football over the weekend, and now getting ready for the first NFL game this Thursday. Man, football is in the air, and we're excited it's back.
Every year is new, but you also have some guys who've never done this before. What's your message for your rookies and the young guys who made a significant time on Sunday?
Yeah, Kim, the message is really simple. Like, you played football before. Don't overthink it. Like, you play football since, I always say, guy, you played football since you were like 6 years old. So just because it's now your first time in the NFL, I tell our guys, somebody has to be Rookie of the Year. Somebody has to go out and play well as a rookie. Someone will. Why is it not you? So get rid of all the rookie jitters, all the emotions. Like, go play ball. Go do what you've been trained to do your entire life, and that's have fun playing football. You do that, block out all distractions, do what you've been taught to do, you'll go out and play well.
What do you remember about when you first?
This is me asking him about Caley.
Caley.
I thought this was interesting. I mean, this is the first time he's going to be an OC. I think there's 5 tests we need to look out for, which we'll get to a little bit later on in the show. But listen to this confidence in Nick Caley. First time my
Coach to a coordinator, and how can you help Nick Caley calling his best?
Caley is ready to go. Caley's been through a ton of situations all through training camp, all through OTAs. We've been through a lot of different situations. All right, he's called a ton of plays throughout the offseason, throughout training camp, in the preseason games. He has reps on task, so he's ready to go.
Has CJ being able to call Texans at the line of scrimmage maybe changed things for the offense, or maybe made them, particularly CJ too?
We'll have some different variations to our offense, whether that's the mechanics at the line of scrimmage, checking plays, changing protections, whatever that looks like, whatever it entails, like, we'll be ready to go. CJ's done a great job with the protection scheme of getting guys in the right place, adjusting when he needs to adjust. Just a matter of him being able to see it the right way, see it the same as the offensive line is seeing it. As long as we have 11 guys on the same page, like, ball snap, let's go play.
Obviously, you wanted to make changes on the offensive side of the ball in the offseason. You did so. What did you see in the preseason now that it's behind us that says you like what you see and it's progressing to give you confidence?
What I've liked about our offense is I really like just how detailed our guys are. Our guys they're on it when it comes from a schematic standpoint. There are not a ton of missed assignments. Guys are playing fast. Guys are playing together. And that's the main thing that I want to see, guys playing together. No hesitation, playing fast. Our brand of football is play fast, play relentless, it's swarm. And that's what I want to see from the offensive side of the ball. We've seen that from the defensive side. Special teams, not the offense, just play that way, and think Caley gives us the best. He's given us the best chance to play that way.
From the Rams. Getting into the, in Greenbrier, I will say that the one thing that he loves about you being his head coach is that you're constantly challenging not only him but the rest of the team. What is the challenge headed into 2025 for the team?
The challenge for us is to be as best as you can possibly be. It's each individual. Like, how are you showing up on game day? Are you locked in on your assignments? Are you dominating your one-on-one? Are you dominating that daily process outside of the building when we're not doing ball? Are you taking care of all the little things the right way? And we'll see how that collectively comes together on game day. But I just challenge everybody to continue to grow, continue to get better, and continue to push yourself, strain mentally and physically to be your best. I feel like this is such a privilege, it's such a blessing to get the opportunity to play in the NFL. It's a dream for so many guys. So when you are here, you're in the building, you're on a team, how are you taking advantage of that dream? I think about all the guys who I played with in middle school, high school, who didn't get the opportunity to be where we are. So how would those guys – how would they respond if they were in your shoes? They would die for this opportunity to play in the NFL, right? So we're here. How do we take advantage of it? How do we maximize it? And how do we just represent for the city of Houston, right, to make our fans proud of what we're doing?
From a blocking standpoint with the Rams personnel, especially Jared Burris and Braden Fisk, what are some of the challenges of their defense with those guys in mind?
Yeah, their defense it starts up front with their defensive line. Those guys play relentless. Scouted all those guys, really like the mindset that they bring to the football field. They're all relentless, and they're going to bring it every snap. There's no let up with their defensive line. They play tough. They play physical. So we're gonna have our work cut out for us up front, but we're ready for that challenge.
You mentioned the dream. Obviously, the dream for Damon was to make the 53. Didn't make it, but to give him that phone call to make the practice.
Damn, Kunkel's asking about Damon Arnett. We can move on, but DeMeco very, very, very confident. And I think that was the whole theme is you can tell that DeMeco's confident. You can tell he's feeling it. You can tell he's ready to go. Very confident in Nick Caley. He loves him some Nick Caley. I mean, my goodness, he is a big Nick guy. Nick. Now, it was brought up in the chat, and I do agree. I mean, he was a big Kenyon Green guy. He was a big Shaq Mason guy. He was a big Bobby Slowick guy. So the next time that DeMeco Ryans craps on one of his players or one of his coaches will be the first time. But he seems very confident in Nick Caley. And I think this can kind of be related to, it might have more to do with his defense and knowing that they can keep you in a game and that they're going to be able to make it easy for Nick Caley. It might have more to do with that than some sort of notion that this is going to be an elite defense and this is going to be a defense that's one of the better defenses in the league. It might have as much to do with that. Or maybe he just really sees something from Nick Caley. But for me, I don't think you're going to be able to tell about Nick Caley. And I have five tests. I've listed 5 tests that we'll get to a little bit later on in the show. Brought to you by Sleeper. Get a $100 deposit match up to $100. Use the promo code LOCKER. That's LOCKER. Daily fantasy. It's as good as it gets on Sleeper. And the season's here. So you can win 100 times your cash on daily fantasy football. There's all kinds of games. There's communities. It's kind of like, there's almost like an X kind of feel too. There's chat rooms. You can run your fantasy league chat in there. There's a lot going on Sleeper, but the best thing is the over-under game, which we'll play a little bit later on. But I'm a big fan. I want you to get on board. I want you to get in that survivor pool as well. Winner's going to win an autographed jersey. We'll decide who the jersey is. It'll be an elite player. Can promise you that. So go ahead and check that out. Who do I think the captains are going to be? I think the captains, Giovanni asks on the chat. I think the captains are going to be CJ, Will, Petrie, I don't know if they're going to go special teams. Probably not. I would say CJ, Will, Petrie, Lakin Tomlinson, and they might give it to Nico. Nico's not really like a big speaker, or they might give it to Stingley. I predict they give it to one of the quiet guys, whether it's Nico and Stingley, just based on their actions. That would be my guess. Will, CJ, Petrie, Lakin Tomlinson, and either Nico or Stingley. Just about that action. And I think Sting could easily be that, be a captain just because of the examples and all the stuff that they bring up when they talk about Stingley. On the soup.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Evan says Texans money line check. Okay. So you're confident in the Texans money line. Boom. Jay says, took a break from keeping up with football the last 4 to 5 months, watching your videos again, and I've been loving them, bro. Keep up the good work. I appreciate you for riding along, my friend. Some people need a break from football. It's not 365 for everyone. Some people need a break. And there's a lot of seasons. There's basketball, there's baseball, there's a lot. For me, football is 365. My first love was basketball. Baseball was what I was best at, but football for me is just 365 now. And as I started my broadcast career, that's it. But yeah, some people need a break, and we love you coming back, my friend. DeRhino says, happy kickoff week, my dude. Yes, thank you. 3 days. 3 days away from the start of the NFL season, 6 days away from the Texans. So a little bit more about this. Oh yeah, Aziz would be a captain too. You could be right. Aziz could probably be a captain. You can replace the Tomlinson with Aziz. Yeah, it'll be Aziz. So you're right. I didn't even think of Aziz. That's on me. But Aziz, Petrie, Anderson, CJ, and then maybe Sting. I feel like they want Tomlinson to be a captain, but I don't know. Evan says, once the pocket breaks down, Stafford is effed. Yeah, not the best team to play if you have a hurt back. So, a couple other things that happened today. So, the first thing that happened today when we went to the building was DeMeco Ryans spoke. Then they opened up the locker room. And as soon as I walked in the building, I kid you not, there was an interesting little funk And I know the funk. Some people don't like the smell or appreciate the smell as much as me, but I knew that smell. And I actually liked that smell. And I just wondered, why the hell does it smell this way at a Texans practice? I've never had it smell like this. And you already know what it smelled like. Some would say it smells like a skunk. For me, it's one of the most lovely smells in the world.
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
And it wasn't some sticks and stem weed. It was beyond
high-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
And apparently there was a concert over the weekend. I guess the weekend was there. And I didn't know that the weekend had like a big Chief crowd, but whoever was backstage doing whatever the hell they wanted to do, they were all over that
high-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
And it went from the media room when DeMeco walked in all the way towards the locker room. Not this locker room, the Texans locker room. It was a dank smell. And I made sure the people knew, wasn't me, but you could smell the hell out of that Kush. And that's just, I guess the weekend has a little bit of a crowd, but it was all over the building. So in the locker room, I thought this was interesting. And I think this is ultimate football guy stuff right here. This is impressive. So Ariante Ursary spoke, really not like a ton to take away from Ariante Ursary's like media session. It's kind of the same as what he's been saying. But look at that. One man is wearing his NFL Combine uniform on a Monday of his first game, which he's likely going to start at left tackle. That's kind of crazy to me. That's kind of crazy. That you want to talk about the new mindset of the offensive line. A man is wearing his NFL Combine handout shirt as he's getting interviewed. That's impressive. It's a big football guy right there, that Ariante Ursary. He's got his hands full this week, though. He's got his hands full. But he's rocking the Combine thing. Thought that was interesting to see from Ursary. Big football guy, that Ariante Ursary fella. And he is going to have his hands full. You look at the someone's saying Cal was blazing up. Come on, man. But you look at this depth chart here. And if you've been following along here, and most of y'all have, we talked about how they weren't even entertaining the possibility of Ursary at right tackle when Cam Robinson came back. Cam Robinson was the backup left tackle, and Ariante Ursary was the starting right tackle. And the offensive line that you see here is the one that we saw coming. So there's no surprise on that offensive line, but it is official confirmation. And as we shift into game week, that, my goodness, Ursary's going to have his hands full. Now, I'm sure that there'll be times where he gets help. There are some times where he's going to be on his own. But he does seem to have the mindset. Anyone who rocks their NFL Combine shirt the Monday of their game is okay. We already knew who the quarterback was going to be. I do find the running back depth chart somewhat interesting. I think this might be the gamesmanship. If we're talking about gamesmanship, I think all of this is honest. I think all of this depth chart is honest. Except I don't think Woody Marks is the number 4 running back. I don't think Woody Marks is the number 4 running back. I think Woody Marks could be anywhere from 2 to 4. I just think they're kind of fronting there. Now, I don't know what the consequence would be if you put him at 2. But based on what we've seen, I would quite frankly be surprised. And I don't think he's on the sleeper. I don't think he's on the sleeper board. We'll see in a sec. But I would take the over on total yards for Woody Marks if he was on the sleeper board. I don't even know if they're going to put him on there. But if he was, I would. So if we're talking gamesmanship, I think everything here is honest. But I think the thing we need to watch is Woody Marks, because they're not just going to sit him out as RB4 and not get him involved in some way, shape, or form. Unless maybe they think the pass pro isn't good, but it doesn't look bad when he's been in there. So I'm calling a lie on I'm calling a lie on the Woody Marks being RB4. Calling a fib on that. Then we go down to the defense. Really no surprise on the defense either. We have the defensive line that we anticipate. Now, some may have expected Tim Settle to start. He hasn't been starting really all camp, and he's been the one guy who DeMeco Ryans has said needs to be more consistent. Like every other defensive tackle, DeMeco Ryans basically talks about as being consistent, lunch pail, impact, all that. For whatever reason, Tim Settle is one of those guys who DeMeco kind of talks about being more consistent, and Tim Settle actually talked about it today. So Tim Settle is a guy that I want to see what his role looks like, but there's been a little bit of tough-ish love, about as tough as it can get from DeMeco. Then we have the linebackers. No surprise here, but they are listing, as you can see, they're doing the base defense where Jalen Petry's at nickel and he's essentially like your third linebacker. So the base defense is listed as Petry, and this is where I think Sean McVay, when DeMeco talks about those motions and all the stuff that McVay would do, I do wonder how the Texans are going to cover the inside receivers. And we know that Stingley and Lassiter, those are two football players that can go anywhere, but I mean, they're pretty much outside guys at this point. Now, there were a couple instances in camp where Lassiter would go inside and then Jalen Smith would go to the outside. But a lot of times you're going to have Petry in that slot. And it's unavoidable for the entire duration of a game. You got to wonder what happens when Puka gets there. Now, CJ Gardner-Johnson will be back as well. He can go inside and maybe he can kind of relieve Petry a little bit. I don't know. But that's a chess game that DeMeco is going to have to play with McVay. But other than Woody Marks right here being fourth running back, it's pretty much an unsurprising depth chart for sure. But yeah, I do think Petry gets targeted for sure. No doubt about it. Okay, but that's the game that they play. And quite frankly, they played it pretty good. A lot of us were really hesitant to buy into the Petry being good at nickel. He did it last year and they did a good job. I don't know if it's hiding him, but I do think there'll probably be a little bit more 3 LBs, which we've kind of talked about. A little bit of 3 LB sets, a lot more. Let's make a pick courtesy of Sleeper. And be sure to get the app. Again, I'm going to be able to pull this up on the computer. They're going to set us up with that. But let's just pull up the Sleeper app. And again, promo code Locker. And right here, you can look. That's a freebie right there. I know y'all hate Dak Prescott, but we're going to take more than a half yard. We're going to take the freebie from them, and then we're going to go to the passing yards with the Texans. And CJ Stroud is right there. They have all the quarterbacks there. Lovely app. But the Matthew Stafford passing yards are at 241.5. The CJ Stroud's at 231.5. I think we need to take the under in the Matthew Stafford. He's got a hurt back. He's playing a really good defense. They like to run the ball a little bit. I know the Texans stopped the run decently. So we're going to take less with Matthew Stafford right there and put that with Prescott. The CJ Stroud thing, we haven't seen Nick Caley call a game. So we're going to stay away from any CJ Stroud predictions. The rush yards, they have Nick Chubb in the rush yards at 43.5. I'm going to stay away from that as well. Now, if they had a Woody Marks, we would maybe play. We talked about DeMeco's confidence. He feels good about Nick Caley. We talked about that. We also know that Matthew Stafford will play. So DeMeco saying that C.J. Gardner-Johnson will play. Sean McVay saying Matthew Stafford good to go. So you have that. Really, it was just kind of a generic day in the locker room. Tim Settle seems focused. It seems like they've tried to attempt to kind of refocus Tim Settle a lot. So that seems to be something that they've been really, really focused on is getting Tim Settle a little bit more geared up. Nick Chubb, perfect vibe, honestly. I don't know, like Nick Chubb's clearly not in his prime, but just the overall mindset, if you're going to have to replace a guy like Joe Mixon, I think it's a perfect counter, and I think it's kind of what DeMeco and them are about. It will be interesting to see, like for all the talk about Nick Chubb that we've had, it will be interesting to see, and I appreciate everyone for rolling with me through the mic thing. But it will be interesting to see if the pass pro that they obsess over with Nick Chubb is so important that maybe it helps CJ a little bit. Maybe there's like a different element to that. The over 43.5, Justin, go ahead and go to Sleeper and use the promo code Locker. Get with that. I just really can't. I can't do that. I can't get into the over on the Nick Chubb. I'm going to take the under. I think it's a committee, and I think it's going to be a free Woody Marks type of game. And I think the Rams are going to probably focus on the run and make the Texans have to pass block. So I go ahead and do that. I am sitting that one out. But the only depth chart cap is the Woody Marks thing. So we've talked about the Nick Caley thing and the confidence that DeMeco Ryans appears to have and the distaste that many of us had for Bobby Slowick. And you look at the phases and the challenges to which you learn about an offensive coordinator, and I've listed 5 with Nick Caley. I've listed 5 Nick Caley phases to where it kind of helps you stay level-headed when it comes to evaluating a first-time offensive coordinator. And I think this might be valuable because of what we just watched with Bobby Slowick. And I always bring up Bobby Slowick and what it was like because it was a hell of a start for Bobby Slowick. We all remember that. We remember what it was like with Bobby Slowick early on. But the Caley phases, I think, step 1 is going to be the early game plan. So what does the early game plan look like with Nick Caley when he has all this time to prepare for the Rams? They've been preparing for the Rams for months. He knows the Rams. You think he probably has a better grasp of his team. The way he sounds a lot more confident in them. So what does the early game plan look like for Nick Caley? What does it look like? That's what I really want to see from Caley. What will it look like? What if he just looks completely lost? I mean, that would be a damn shame, right? That would be a total damn shame if he looks completely lost. But if he has the game plan, then that's one element of it. That's one element of being an offensive coordinator. Now, when you're facing a good team and you're facing a coach like Sean McVay, who's battle-tested, the problem is it's not necessarily going to be all about that early game plan. and his defensive staff, because the next phase is phase 2, and it's about adjustments and feel. So whenever the other team adjusts, how is Nick Caley going to adjust and feel? How is that going to look? Bobby sucked at it. Bobby Slowick sucked at it, and that's what the square peg round hole thing is. But how does Nick Caley adjust and feel? It's going to be the early. Remember when Bill O'Brien couldn't score on opening drives? Went like a whole season up till the divisional round. Actually, he went up till the final week of the season, and A.J. McCarron was the quarterback and not Deshaun. But the adjustments or the save all butts factored in. So that's phase 2. Phase 3 is going to be halftime adjustments. Bobby Slowick last year said that halftime adjustments didn't exist. That was one of the dumbest things that I've ever heard in my entire life. That was one of the dumbest things that I've heard in my entire life when Bobby Slowick said that halftime adjustments don't exist. That's crazy. And I can't believe he said that with a straight face, but he did. But how do you figure it out? You get a feel. We're not able to run the ball. So do you keep going to try to run the ball? This has been opened up, or what happened here sets up. You don't have a lot of time. It's not like college where you have like a whole sitcom, but halftime adjustments exist. They exist. And we'll see if Nick Caley's able to handle that. Number 4, and we won't learn this on Sunday against the Rams, it's the week-to-week-ish. How do you adjust week to week? There's a lot of elements that factor into that. We always hear about, there's more tape. There's teams know your tendencies. Maybe you have to make personnel decisions. Bench this offensive lineman. Bench this guy. Let this guy play more. The week-to-week adjustments. The next one is the injuries. How do you handle Nico Collins missing a game? How do you handle, Christian Kirk not being available? How do you handle a couple offensive linemen being out? That's going to be another test. How's he going to handle that? So those are the 5 ways, and there's probably even more than that. But the 5 Caley phases: number 1, the early game plan. Number 2, the adjustments / feel. Number 3, the halftime adjustments. Bobby Slowick, those do exist. Damn it, I don't know what the hell you were talking about. Number 4, the week to week. And then number 5, the injuries. How are you going to handle the injuries? Because they're going to happen. And we've seen Nico Collins. That's just kind of been a thing. But there are definitely some good vibes. And the thing, 320 says Nico will not miss one game. At first, when I read that, I said, wow, it's going to be like 3 or 4. Yeah, it's typically about the average. But the vibes are good. Very, very vanilla locker room. We haven't heard from C.J. Gardner-Johnson. There was a guy in the locker room, though. Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward is around the squad. Seems to be in pretty good shape. And we've heard them talk. They seem relatively confident that Jimmy Ward they haven't said it, but I'm reading between the lines. It feels like they not completely dismissing it. Jimmy Ward was there. He was his normal smiling self. Big part of that locker room. Y'all talked about captains. He was a captain last year. He's very respected there. We know that him and DeMeco have history, but the Jimmy Ward, there's been, there's no sign of really Joe Mixon, at least when we're going in. Stephon Diggs, as soon as he got hurt, he left. Diggs was on the final year of his deal. Mixon's probably got some stuff going on. But Jimmy Ward's one of those guys who's around the squad, much like Petrie, all that. So he is there. Montahano Aaron says, you said Stingley was going to miss games last year. He didn't. That's true. It's the first time that's ever happened. Yeah, I did assume that Derek Stingley for the first time in that was 6 years. First time in 6 years he didn't miss games. So yeah, I did make that assumption. You're very right. That is very true. It would be the first time for Nico too. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm not I'm not Miss Cleo, although I think Miss Cleo was a little bit of a con artist. But yeah, I did assume that Derek Stingley was going to miss games last year. I did. Just like Nico. But if he doesn't, I mean, if Nico doesn't miss games, then I mean, we lead the league in receiving. We think we haven't seen him in the Caley offense, but we've damn sure seen him with CJ. When he's out there, he's definitely doing his thing. So if he does, I mean, if Nico Collins is giving you 17, you're in good shape, just like Derek Stingley did last year. And then we'll see if Xavier Hutchinson is good to go or not. I don't know if Nick Caley runs a script. I don't know what his offense is. We have no idea. We have no idea what Nick Caley's offense is, how he adjusts, anything. I would assume he runs a script, but never know. Little bit more loose though. I know San Francisco is pretty scripted in the Slowick offense, but I don't think that I don't know if he's going to do that. Daniel on the chat says, I feel confident we have plenty of weapons on offense, especially receivers. I'm more concerned about the O-line. Yeah, it all goes back to the O-line. O-line not great. Was Jimmy Ward cleaning out his locker? He was not. He was not. He's trying to stay in shape, man. Letting the whole thing play out. Black eighth element on the chat says we have a top 5 defense. We will control most games. Offense just needs to put up points. Then we pin our ears back. Yeah, I would agree. The Stafford thing, though, is something to keep an eye on. That is not something that you minimize. There are certain situations that are bad no matter what. Having to have an epidural, I don't care if it was 2 months ago, I don't care if it was 3 months ago. But as soon as you start having back problems and you're playing quarterback, that's rough. You can gut through a lot of things, but gutting through a back is damn near impossible. Now, if anyone can do it, it is Matthew Stafford. He's also older. But I heard McVay saying like the time away kind of made him love football again. It's like, what? He didn't love football? I find that really strange. But the point I'm making is if you have a hurt back, it's going to suck no matter what. If you're facing a defense like the Texans, it's going to suck even more. So that's not an ideal situation for Matthew Stafford. He's going to play. He's going to try to gut it out. They've added Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams roasted the Texans last year. Halloween night. We all remember it. Halloween night, Devontae Adams did his thing. It was the peak of the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams reunion. Completely did his thing. But I do not think this is going to be ideal for Matthew Stafford. Because as much as you're concerned about the Texans' offensive line, you probably feel just as good as about the D-line. And it goes back to the original point with DeMeco being so confident about Nick Caley. He's confident in his defense. You ever been at work and you're confident in your staff or you're confident in your crew, even though you might have some deadish weight? I doubt DeMeco thinks this is going to be a great offensive line, but he knows it's going to be a great defense. And I actually wonder if it kind of gets DeMeco Ryans a little bit fired up to know that, I mean, he would rather have Joe Mixon on the team, but when you're a defensive-minded coach and you know that the defense is going to have to do even more, it's got to get you a little bit excited that your defense is going to be counted on more and capable of holding things down and carrying things for the squad. And I remember last year against the Lions where The offense clearly didn't hold up their end of the deal. The defense, I think how many picks did Goff throw? Was it 5? I think Goff threw 5 picks. I think he threw more picks in that game than he did all last season. But DeMeco came out and said our defense didn't do well. And I was like, okay, this is a defensive-minded coach. That makes sense. Why would DeMeco Ryans not be a defensive-minded coach? I know he takes exception with the wording of that and with the way in which that's said, but dude, you've played defense your entire life. You've been a captain. You've been a defensive coach. So you should lean defense. And quite frankly, his specialty is as good as it gets for where the Texans are and what they do. So I kind of support what DeMeco Ryans has going on and the manner in which he may kind of not like do a fist pump, but maybe just like a firm fist, like, yeah, we got this defense. We can handle this. You're not bringing a knife to a gunfight with this defense. This is as good of a defense as you could possibly. This might be the best defense the Texans have ever had, and that's saying a lot because they've had some pretty damn good ones. They've had defenses in the top of the league. Now, is Will Anderson going to go from really, really good to elite? Is Kamari Lassiter going to take that step? It might matter, but they're going to be coached as well as any defense. The athleticism is just insane at linebacker now. They've added that. The D-line is solid. Seems like kind of more of a role thing, and you have a lot of stuff. This might be the best defense in Texans history. Now, defense wins championships and all that crap. I think we've been rolling our eyes at that for a long time as we've watched the NFL and what's gone on. But a lot of crazy stuff can happen over the course of a game, and you can just give C.J. Stroud a opportunity late to where you need to go get the field goal. You need to go get the touchdown. Yeah, you've been sacked 6 times today. It hasn't been pretty, but you have the chance to flip the switch. Nick Caley has a chance to get the ball out of his hands and do some things, and then you figure it out. Because the one thing I do like, C.J. Stroud, he does have somewhat of a clutch gene. He does have kind of a feel of the moment. Now you gotta give him a little bit of time to throw, but he does have that. And you've seen some teams with elite defenses make some noise with quarterbacks much worse than C.J. Stroud. This isn't Rex Grossman. This isn't Trent Dilfer. We saw Brad Johnson today in the stands watching the Belichick game. This isn't Brad Johnson. You have an elite defense and you have a quarterback that's pretty damn good. Is he elite? No, not yet. Is he ever going to be elite? TBD. But with this defense, he's not going to have to be, especially if Nick Caley knows what the F he's doing. But this is going to be an elite defense. I feel pretty confident in saying that. Like, this defense being bad is not happening. This defense not being really good is not happening. This defense being elite is very possible. That's not going to happen on the offense. But if the offense can be middle, I said this earlier today on SNL. Hold it down for Stoots while he was puking in the restroom on the plane because he partied too hard at the wedding. I said this offense when I was on KHOU, the CBS affiliate out here. This offensive line, if they're just mid, then that's as good as you can expect. If they just have a mid offensive line, mid is not a compliment. Mid is something you say when something's not awesome. If you eat some bad food, if you think this player sucks, mid is typically what you say. If this offensive line is mid, you feel pretty damn good about where you're at. People are saying C.J. Stroud's elite. I don't think he's there yet. Does he have potential to be elite? Yes, for sure. Does he have potential to flip the switch? Yes, for sure. But elite? No, I don't think he's there yet. But he might not have to be elite to be in elite situations. Something else that is very elite is sleeper. This was the pick that we did earlier when we had the technical difficulties. So I got this at 9.75 to 1. So this is my sleeper. Go put $5 in, get 10 back. Use the promo code Locker. If you go up to 100, you're going to get 100 back as well. So they're going to match it. And this is what we're going with this week. We'll be able to do this live and on the scene once we get the software going. But we're going with Dak Prescott with the free. He can throw for 1 yard. We're good. Christian Kirk over 40.5. Puka Nakua, we're going with the over 73.5. I just think Sean McVay is pretty creative, and he can find him in some favorable situations. And then Matthew Stafford under 241.5. That back's not good, man. That back's not good. But go to Sleeper, $100 deposit, match up to $100. The best DFS in the game. 6 million were playing it last year. Continues to grow. There's a hell of a lot of stuff you can do. You get lost in that app. But it's very much worth it, and it is a game of skill, which is what I like the most. So go ahead and do that. Get in the survivor pool, autographed jersey at the end of the year. Got you covered there, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Use the promo code Locker. Ma says he always goes over and always is. It happens, man. You're an optimistic guy, man. You're an optimistic guy. You're an optimistic guy. Ain't no shame in that. But yeah, sleeper solid. Get that sleeper app, Locker. Very much appreciated for all y'all. But the vibes are good with the Texans. The vibes are very, very good with the Texans. Everybody's feeling themselves right now. DeMeco Ryans very happy. A lot of high grade smelling in the hallways. Hopefully they clear that up by Wednesday. Hopefully not. I actually like the smell, but I don't know if they do. I don't think Cal and Hannah want their locker room and media room smelling like weed, but different strokes for different folks. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Be sure to always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Thanks.